Hey guys, I'm Suraj and welcome to the part 5 of my Python basics tutorial series. In this video, what I'm going to be talking about is lists in Python, of course. So, lists in Python are basically lists in what we would call normal terms. And a list in normal terms is like a collection of things. And if it's like a to-do list, it's a collection of tasks. If it's a list of if it's a list of fruits, it's basically a collection of fruits. And I think you get the idea of lists in normal terms. And I'm gonna create a list in Python, and that list I'm gonna store it in a variable called fruits. And the way you define a list is use square brackets. So this is an empty list at the moment, and in here go the things we want. So we can put fruits in here, and I'm gonna add apple. Oh my gosh, can I type? Apples. So that's one item, and to separate you would use a comma. I think that's nothing too fancy. It's just commas. And I'm gonna add bananas, and then I'm gonna add oranges, and then grapes. Nope. I don't know what's up with my typing. So here's our list, and I'm gonna print it. I'm just using the file because I wanna. You really don't. You can just use shell if you'd like. So now I'm gonna run that, and that shows apples, bananas, oranges, and grapes. And so this is our list, and it's got these items in there. Now I'm gonna be showing now this is our list, and to reference items in the list, we use something called indexing. So all of these items, they have an index. So apples has an index of 0 as it's the first item. Bananas has an index of 1 as it's the second item, and in programming languages 0 is the first number. Oranges has 2 and grapes has 3, the index of 3. So if I do that, so print fruits 0, it's going to print out apples because that's the index of, because the 0th item in fruits is apple. By 0th, I mean first, just that I like to say first for one. So if I run this, it's going to say apples because the index of apples is 0, and we're saying 0, like the fruits 0. So, and you can go like 1 and run it, and it's gonna show bananas. And if you're just gonna do something like that, you're just gonna do that and run it. It's gonna say index error, list index out of range, and it's not like a really fancy error because what's an index? The index is like the number assigned to each one of these items in the list. List index, so the index of the index of a particular item in the list. Out of range is out of range. It's beyond. And that's like indexing. You can also index elements like from the last. So from the end of the list. So -1 is grapes. -1 is basically like the last. -2 is oranges, and let me just show you. Grapes, and -3 bananas, because -1, -2, -3. So that's indexing. Again, if you go like that, it's just gonna say index error, list index out of range because it's not included. So that's indexing, and I want to show you something a little bit like indexing, and that's called slicing. And slicing is taking a slice out of the list. So suppose I want to take items from in the first index to the third index, and so to do that I need to go from the index 1. So 1, this is it. This bananas has the index 1, oranges has index 2 and grapes has index 3. And when I say from the first index to the third index, I don't mean the last index included, and that's just because Python, it doesn't include the last thing, even in a range and all that, it just doesn't. So 1 to 3, it's going to show bananas and oranges. So bananas is 1, so it starts from 1. It does oranges, but it skips grapes. This number here, it's not included. And if you can also just go like this, so this means like up to the third index. So it's not gonna again it's not gonna include grapes, but up to the third index. And you can also go from a 1 up to. So this is gonna say start from 1 and go to the end of the list. So yeah, you can see here. So that's slicing, and in slicing, something interesting is if you go like that, it's just gonna show you like the list. So this is a bit confusing since you're putting like a big number and it doesn't give you that index error or slice error or whatever. It doesn't say out of range, although this sort of is. And the reason it's doing this is because grapes is included. Like take grapes for example. The index of grapes is 0, 1, 2, 3. So 3 does come in this like range. It does come in here. So it's gonna do that, and then the rest it's just gonna say, oh, there's nothing, let's just go. Like who cares about the other numbers? So that's a little confusing, but if you go like that, it's just gonna show nothing because there is nothing beyond this. Again, it should be saying like list index error, but that would have made it a little simpler, but it just really doesn't matter. I mean, you would never be doing something like this anyway. So that's indexing and slicing, and there's another property of lists, and they're iterable, so you can loop over them. And by loop over them, I can mean like you can go for through every item. So to do that, you would use a for loop, for, and I'm gonna do fruit in fruits. So I think I've only shown you like for something in range, but you can also use fruits. And it's just like range. In range, it gives you a number. Here, it's giving you the actual value of something in fruits. So if I do print fruit, and if I run that, oh wait, what did I do? Name? Oh wait, typo. So you're like going through this list. The first time it's apple, the second time it's bananas, third time oranges, fourth time grapes, and then it's done. There are no more items. And yeah, so if you just want to do something like this, you can also do for something like count in range and len. And len basically gives you the length of the list. I'll be showing it to you in a second. So I'm just going to show you this first. So I'll tell you about len in a second. I just want to show this to you. I should have shown len first. Oh yeah. So fruits count. So this is doing this is printing it out, but as you can see, but the other code is way simpler. And about len, so len basically gives you the length of a list or a string, but for now we're just gonna be using list. So len fruits, and it's just gonna give us the length of fruits, and it's 4. So how long is it? It's got 4 items in it. So len is quite simple. It's nothing too complicated. So this is in for count in 4 because that's what len fruits is. Print fruits, and count, and it's taking like the count is the index. It's treating it as the index, and it's gonna like do apples, bananas, oranges, grapes. So that's how you iterate over lists. But again, you wouldn't be really using this. You would just be learning something for fruit in fruits. So oh yeah. So I'm just gonna show this to you again. So this is much better. It's neater, it's cleaner, much better. So that's the, now I'm gonna show you a few functions you can do with this. So I'm gonna just run this, and when you run this, right now the only thing that you did do is you have this variable called fruits. So if you're wondering how I can reference for fruits in here, it's just because when I ran it, this variable is it's stored in this particular shell window. So right now I'm going to be throwing a lot of functions at you. So the first one I'm going to show you is fruits dot append, and append adds things to the list, adds at the end. So if I do fruits dot append cherries, it's gonna add cherries to this list. And now if I do fruit, it's gonna show me the a list and with cherries, because we added cherries here, and it goes to the end. And to insert an item at a specific position, you would do what's up with this? Okay. So to do that, you would do fruits dot insert, and this is gonna insert it at a specific position. So suppose I want to insert it at position 3. So the index, yeah, it does say index here. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I want to insert it here, I would do 3 and how about pineapple? And here goes the object you want to insert, apple. And you just want to tell you, it does the things in the list. They don't have to be a string. They can be any Python object, and by object I mean like data type. So now if I show you fruits, it's gonna also show pineapple. And pineapple is not going to the end. It's going to a specific position. So now I'm gonna show you fruits dot remove, and remove basically like removes something from the list. So if I do fruits dot remove bananas, and actually bananas does not belong in there. Some people do say that bananas are vegetables and not fruits. And now if I do fruits, bananas is away. So remove is again quite simple, and if you now these are a few basic functions. There are a lot more functions with list, and I'm going to be throwing all of them at you, most of them. And if I do dir, and if I do fruits, dir basically, like what this basically gives you is like all functions associated with a Python object, in this case list, because fruits is a list. So if I do this, you see all the functions you can do with fruits. Now all these underscores stuff, some people do call them dunder, double underscore dunder. So this is the thing we don't care about. We don't care about all of these. All we care about are these. So append, I've shown you. Clear, I'm going to first show you copy. So suppose you want to like make a copy of a list. You would do something like, I'm just going to create a new list called fruits2 equals to fruits dot copy, and this copies the list. So now if I do fruits 2, you can see it has created a copy of it. And clear, I'm just going to show it to you now. Fruits2.clear. Clear is again like quite easy to understand. It clears out the list. So now if I show you fruits 2, it's an empty list. And that's the reason why I showed you copy first, because if I didn't copy the list, then I would lose the list, and I don't want to do a lot of append stuff. So extend, or actually count, fruits.count. Count gives you like the count of an object. So if I do the count of apples, it shows you how many apples there are, and there's 1 apple in here. So if I do fruits.append apples, now there are 2 apples. So if I do fruits.count, oh my gosh, what happened there? So I do this, it shows me 2. Why is it showing 2? Because there are 2 apples in here. And so that's count. Extend. So extend is like append, except for you're not adding 1 item, but you're adding more items. So I'm gonna do extend, and in here goes a list. And what fruit is not in here? Tomatoes are fruits. And I'm also gonna do, yeah, tomatoes are fruits, in case you were wondering why I put tomatoes in there. And I'm thinking of another fruit. How about mangoes? There. So now if I show you fruits, it's gonna show you with tomatoes and mangoes. And I'm gonna also remove apples just for like simplicity's sake. So fruits start. Yeah, and many people do criticize idle, and look at this here. I mean, how cool is this? Yeah, not many editors do something like that. So don't underestimate idle. It's cool. And here's our list. And yeah, when I removed apples, it did take the first apples. So this is our list now. And fruits.index. So dot index. And this gives you the index of number of a value. So fruits.index of oranges, or not oranges, I'm just going to do fruits.index of grapes, and it's going to give you the index of grapes, which is 2, 0, 1, 2. So that's index. Pop basically like takes an item out of the list. So it like pops that item out of the list and it puts it somewhere else. So if I do I'm thinking of a variable name. Popped equals to fruits.pop. And by default, pop takes like the last item out. So now if I show you fruits, it's going to show you tomatoes. So mangoes got popped out and it went into popped, which is mangoes. And you don't have to do it. Pop doesn't have to be the last item. You can go popped. And if I do 4, and now if I show you fruits, so apples went away since 0, 1, 2, 3. Apples was 4th. Apples went away and popped now. It shows apple. So that's pop. Remove, I showed you. Reverse. Basically, it reverses again. It like reverses the list. The list gets flipped around. So fruits dot reverse. So here you can see that the list has been like flipped around. So tomatoes was last. here tomatoes is first, oranges was first, here oranges is last, and it just got flipped around. And sorts the list out, obviously. So fruits dot sort. And here it got sorted by alphabetical order. So cherries, grapes, oranges, pineapple. It should have been pineapple since all of these other items were plural. But anyways, and tomatoes. So that's it for list. You don't need to like memorize all of these functions. Like take count for example. I had never used count before this tutorial. I never used it, so you don't have to memorize all of this. You're probably not gonna use all of these anyway. So, and again, we don't care about this double underscore stuff. So I think that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial, and until then, bye.